welcome to Liza's Painting Parties. I am Liza and I will be your host for our event today. We're doing a free live virtual painting party. So if you're able to join in right now, that would be fantastic. If you're not, do not worry. The video will be up and you'll be able to watch it on my Facebook page under the videos tab, and it will also be cross-posted to my YouTube channel under the same name, Liza's Painting Parties. And then you can watch it there as well. Last month's video didn't get posted, and I'm going to post January's video as well. So if anyone was looking for that on YouTube, I will do that. I had some technical issues. Isn't that always the case? Technical issues. Yeah, so I just started slightly, it's about 5 minutes, I guess, until we're actually going to get started. I set up a few changes, so I'm hoping they took effect, because I can't tell. I set it up so I clicked the button that should show captions, so I don't know if that's showing for any of you. If you see captions, or if you see there's an option to put live captions on, can you let me know that that exists on your side? That would be fantastic, because it's not confirming that it's not showing on my screen. So if someone can do that, that'd be amazing. Hi everyone. Hi Kathy. Hi Leanne. Hi Joe. Amazing. Yay! Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it. I had someone reach out to me who likes to follow along, and this has happened before as well. But before this, I hadn't seen that option to do live captions. So I just found it today, so I'm really excited. So someone who follows along who's hard of hearing, and so I'm really excited that it's working, so that hopefully they can join in live if they want to. So yay! Thanks for double checking and letting me know. That's fantastic. Hey, Joe, it's been a while. I'm so glad you're joining. This is so nice. It's nice to see names that I've seen like so many times before. So if you're jumping in, please say hi. Let me know if this is your first time tuning in, where you're tuning in from would be great. I'm here in Ajax, Ontario, just outside of Toronto. There should also be like a link there just says if you are hosting or you're interested in doing any paint party, please let me know, because I'd love to host it for you and your friends, whether it's virtual or in person if you're in the Toronto area. Obviously in person would be like super fun. But virtual is also great too. We'll bring a lot of energy and have like a private Zoom event if that's something that you're looking for. So you can DM me, or my website link is there too. You can take a look. But for tonight, we're going to be doing a really sweet kind of love winter themed painting. So this one, I called it Cold Cold Heart. I definitely have been hearing that Elton John, Britney Spears song and on repeat for a couple months now. So that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this. So I'll walk you through step by step on how to recreate this painting. You are more than welcome to change up any aspect of it that you so desire. So I will instruct it so that if you're a beginner or you're not comfortable painting, like I will make sure that you have as much instruction as possible. If you're a bit more comfortable and you want to kind of go on your own, please feel free to do this. Whenever I hold these sessions, I want you to look at it as kind of like almost like a book club. So like you can interpret it and change it up and see your own references any which way you want to. So you can make the gloves any color you want, but I'll just speak to it from this perspective. The dark and light pretty much works exact same. I'm going to be using acrylic paint to recreate this, and I will go through it step by step in just a moment or two. So before we get started in the painting process, in terms of supplies, if you are joining me and you want to know what I'm using, so I'll be using, I said, acrylic paint. The main colors here, I'm using blue, red, black, and white. The paint that I'm using predominantly is this one called Artist's Loft. I am a big proponent of use whatever paint is available to you. You can still create really nice paintings with cheap paint. A lot of my paint initially was from the dollar store, so you don't need to have fancy paint. Fancy paint definitely like feels a lot nicer in a lot of ways, but you don't have to worry if you're just starting out. And I also have paintbrushes, so I recommend at least having 3 sizes, But again, if you have a variety pack, the Dollarama, again, I don't know how it is in the States. I know here in Canada, you can get like a pack of like 5 brushes, and they're decent quality. It's like, these are the ones I got from there. The quality is decent on them, and there was like 5 brushes, or maybe it was 10 brushes, I can't remember, and it was maybe like $3 or $4. So it wasn't too bad, and they've been lasting quite well. So I definitely don't count out the Dollaramas for any supplies. So as long as you have 3 sizes, something large, so you can do a nice covering, because we're gonna do a nice wash for the backdrop, like a medium size, and then more fine point to get some details. I also have my palette, which just continues having layer and layer of the paint as it dries on it, but I kind of dig it. And then I have my water containers and paper towel. So those are the supplies. Oh, and the canvas I'm using is a 12 by 16 stretched canvas, also from the Dollarama. So I'm very, I know I should get a sponsorship from Dollarama, right? Talk about them all the time. Awesome. So yeah, so feel free. I'll be watching the comments as well as we go through. So if there's anything, just like pop them in there, and I'll respond to them as I go. If something comes up and someone else has an answer, feel free to help each other out and answer. Like, don't feel like you have to wait for me. I am doing this, but a lot of you know way more than I do. So, yay, good. I'm glad you think it looks fabulous. That's great. Hi, Karen. It's your first time. I'm so glad you're joining. I hope you like it. Hi, Rula. I'm glad you're joining. Oh, that's awesome. So Rula has been around for a few of my paint parties, and her paintings are always so lovely. So afterwards, what I do ask, though, these are free, as I say many times, and I say that because sometimes like scammers try to get into the links to try to get you to click links and like I think get you to pay for it or something. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure, but it hasn't been around that long. I guess they're doing other things. But just don't click on any of those links, essentially, because if you're here, you're watching me, you're good, and this is where you should be. Yeah, so Rula's been around for a while, and she's been doing some fabulous paintings. What I ask you is if once you're done doing your painting, please take a picture of it and share it with the group. So I'll usually put a post up after the paint party showing my completed project from tonight. And I'd love for you to like add to the comments and share your paintings there. So yeah, it's always nice to see everyone's style and techniques, and if you're using different mediums, that's even more fun. Hi, Lynn. I'm glad you're joining as well. Yay. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay, so showed you that, talked about that. Okay, perfect. So let's move this over a smidge. More, yeah, I think. I feel like the red just kind of became more red. So, and I'm going to move this over, so maybe I'll move the camera again. But before I do that, let's talk through what our first step is going to be. So the first step that we're going to do is we are going to do the backdrop of the canvas. So I used light blue. So I had my blue and I put white, so I got it a bit lighter. And then I added quite a bit of water to make it very, very light, and it's literally like a wash. You can see the brush strokes on, you can see the canvas behind it, like the texture's still there, and that's just, I like it because it feels kind of icy and cold. So you can do it this way, you can change it up, but that's what I'll do first, so I'll show you what that looks like to start. So I'm going to put the painting on the side for now. I'll see if maybe, I don't think we're going to be able to like really see it as we go. No, I think I'm going to leave it like this, and then we'll refer to the painting as we need it. Okay, so let's get our blue paint on my palette. We'll get our white paint as well. So just for, there's lots of colors on here, but they're all dry. So there's my blue and there's my white. Ooh, there we go. Get an idea of how much. Not very much at all, because we're going to use a lot of water to wet this out and just like water it down. So I'm using my big brush. So this one is like a size 16, I think. I'm not sure. It has paint on it. I think it was 16, but maybe it was more or less than. I'm going to put water on my brush to start. And I'm just going to start to put some water on my canvas. And this process, just again, there's no right or wrong way well, I guess the wrong way to do it would be putting way too much water or not enough water. So you want like a nice thin layer of water, and you want to work quickly because you don't really want it to fully dry. Although at the same time, once it's damp, it does help get us that texture of canvas that we want. And that will be helpful for us going forward. So I'm going to go pretty quickly, going through, putting some water. And I'm doing the whole thing because I don't have to worry so much about where the gloves are going to be in the middle. But I usually still cover my whole canvas anyways when I do a background. So. Okay, so now everything is damp. Okay, I'm going to still put a lot of water on my brush. I'm going into my paint now, and actually it's going to be kind of watercolor-esque. So I'm adding a lot of water to my acrylic, which is not something I normally do. And I'm just doing this now to get this very light wash happening. So I'm going to just start by putting this blue on. So I got a little bit of blue, a little bit of white. And then I just kind of went down fast on it like that. And then I'm adding more water to it. And again, I'm working quickly because I don't want it to dry as is. I don't want it to be super streaky. I still want it to have a nice blend. And I'm using the brush like I'm sweeping it back and forth. So it's usually using the whole width of the brush to apply this paint to the canvas. It's okay if it drips too. Maybe even the drips might look kind of cool actually. But maybe it might feel a bit too like melting snow day. I don't know. And I'm just going back in and grabbing some more paint as I feel is needed. This one does look a little bit darker than my inspiration image that I put together earlier. So I might lighten it up. I'm not sure yet. Okay. Let's get some more at the bottom here. Ooh, that's a bit extreme, but that's okay. It'll work. Okay, and as you're going, you can get the sides of your canvas as it makes sense to do so. It's nice to have it continuous when you have your canvases hung up. Nice to have that going. Okay. Let's get this side too. It's pretty. Okay. I'm just thinking, I don't know if I want it to get a little bit lighter. I think I might want it to be a bit lighter, so I'm just going to put a bit more white in it. And then I'll use more water to just soften it and blend it in. Yeah, I think that's a little better. It was a little too dark, but I'm kind of digging that more now. Okay, cool. Okay, and let's get the bottom of the canvas too. Okay, that's okay. If it goes on there, that's fine. Okay, so what I want to do now is I just want to let this sit for a moment so it dries, and it should dry fairly quickly because it is mostly water. And so once the water, like once you touch it and it's not coming off your finger, basically you're good to go. If you've ended up putting on like a lot more paint, like it's much thicker, then it will take a bit longer to dry, and that's okay. You can use like a blow dryer if you so desire. That's something I still haven't, like, I should really get that on hand. But for our lives, it's not usually a big deal. But that's definitely helpful at times. Okay, perfect. All right, so let that go for a little bit. So while that's drying, so anyone who's just tuning in, we're just letting this dry for a moment, and we're going to be painting. And I did get a little bit of my watercolor on here, but that's okay. Watercolor, my goodness, my water sprays, splatters. That's fine. So we're going to be doing this one. It's cold heart painting. So now after we've done the background, we are going to just wait a moment until it just dries a bit. And then the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually center my heart wherever I want the heart. I find that by doing the heart first, it gives it a very good center point, and also it allows me then to build the gloves in a way that it frames them, and I find it easier to do it that way, so that they kind of look more symmetrical, even though they don't really have to, because again, it can be slightly off, and that's totally fine, but I don't want them to go like too crazy. So that's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna put the heart in with white just to like place it, and once the heart is placed, then we'll start to outline where we want our mittens to live. I guess I should call them mittens and not gloves, because technically being specific with the terms. Hi Trish, glad you're tuning in. Okay, so this is still a little wet, kind of exactly where I need it to be. Is it wet? Oh, yeah, no, it is. So this paint is actually like a bit glossier than the, I often use these crafters acrylic, which dries with like a matte finish. And so this other one, the Artist Loft, has a bit of like a shine to them, the kind of like a shiny finish. So sometimes I think it's wet, but it's actually just like glistening, which is actually really nice on a finished painting. And now that I look at it, I do think, yeah, that's a bad finger to try. Yeah, there we go. I think, no, it's still a little wet, but some of it was more of a glisten than a wetness. So we'll go from there. All right. Yeah, I can't believe it's February already. I feel like January went by so quickly. And I used to do these lives every week. Um, and now I don't even know how I did them every week, because now I feel like the month comes so quickly that I don't know how I had the time to plan and get it all ready for everyone. So funny how things change like that. Okay, so for the beautiful white heart, I'm going to use my medium. I want this brush. I think I want it a little bit more fine than that one. I'm going to use this one. Okay, so medium brush. This one is a size 2. It happens to have like an edge, but I'm not picking it for that reason. It's just one that I can control and I feel comfortable using. So what I'm going to start with is white, and I'm just going to put, when I put it on my brush, I just go back and forth like that to apply it. And then you can decide where you want that heart. So the heart, I want it to be pretty much like in the center. So it's going to be about there or so. So I think I'm going to start with just putting kind of a dot or a line, I guess, in this section of like kind of where I want the middle of it to be ish. And I'm going to start a bit smaller, and I'm going to build it as I go. So this is a little baby heart. I'm just going to build it. And I like doing this technique because it's easier to build it and make it bigger than it is to scale it down and make it smaller. And I'm going to try to make it as symmetrical as possible, but it does not have to be. Okay. And I'm also thinking like it doesn't, I don't think it should really have like a point because it's supposed to be like a ball of snow that's been formed into a heart. And it doesn't seem realistic to me that it would be like a pointed end. I mean, I think it'd be hard to make this anyways in snow. I don't know. Just gonna build that out a little bit more. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. I almost feel like I want to do like balloons now or something. I'm getting like inspired to do like a different painting. I saw some really cute like Valentine's inspirations on Pinterest. Oh, it's like a also like a bad habit scrolling through Pinterest. I get lost in them. My time just like disappears and I get all these ideas of things I want to do and then I just save them all and I don't do any of them. So yeah. Okay, so we got our heart. That's where we want it. And so now I'm going to just use the red paint to like outline where I want my gloves to be. So whatever color you're using for your gloves, I'm going to still do them in red. I really like the red. I was thinking about changing them, but I don't think I want to. I think I am going to keep them with that. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah. So yeah, let's add some red to our palette. Partiers. Oh, hi Nick. I did do a paint night when we were camping, yes. Oh, hi Bev. I'm glad you joined. Hello. Oh, Cynthia. Yes. Oh, thank you for sharing it with your paint group. I really appreciate it. Pinterest is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I love it, but it's like I don't know. Sometimes it makes me feel like bad that I'm not doing enough almost. And I'm like, okay, chill out. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Our brains are tricky, tricky things. Okay, so let us think about how we want to do this. So the way I'm going to do this is the heart sits in the middle of the two gloves. Right now, I'm just going to think about just the outline and the shape, and then we'll be able to form it out more after. So I want the gloves not to be maybe like exactly in the middle of the heart, but I kind of want to like this. I keep calling them gloves. The mittens. It's going to kind of come in a loop. I'm just going to make like an arc. Kind of like that. And again, if you want to be more conservative, like just make them a bit smaller and then widen them as they go. Or if you want to just be a rebel, then go for it and see what happens. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Ish. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the exact same. And then now, just going to fill it in a bit. Once I like that shape. I like to fill it in as I go here, just so I continue to eyeball it, um, and it kind of confirms for me that I like the way it's looking in the shape of it. You can fully outline it at first if you want to. So again, this is just the way I do it. You can totally change it up, and it's a slightly. Let me just do this for a second. It's almost like I'm doing like a heart around it. It's kind of cute. Okay. So I went about not exactly like almost halfway, I suppose, down. And then the thumbs are going to stick out, right? So I'm going to bring it down a little bit more, smidge. And I didn't actually go all the way um, paint all of my heart because my heart's still wet and I don't want to make it pink yet because it will end up blending. Okay, so then I'm just going to then now do the thumb, and it's just going to stick out, come out a little bit like that. Okay, and we're going to come down, but I don't think I'm going to do that just yet, am I? Let's think. Yeah, so when it starts coming down, this is almost at the same spot as the top part of your mitten. And then it does come in just a little bit more than the top part on the one side. This one sticks out a bit more. It doesn't have to be like exact. It can be a bit more curved. It's fine. Just to give a reference of that. So then as it comes down, then I want to start bringing this down. And then it's going to come out a little bit. Okay. And then on this side, we're going to do the same kind of dealio. And bring it down. And out a little bit. Okay, there we go. So that's going to be the one side. That's going to be the other side. And now we can just fill in your shape with some red. I always find that every red that I use, whether it's whatever brand, and again, maybe it is just because I'm using cheap brands regardless, I find the red is always very thin, and I need definitely need more than one layer of the red for it to actually become opaque. But that is okay. So I am starting just to, like, when I'm filling it in, I'm kind of going with the direction and how to build up kind of like the bulk of like where the hands are sitting inside the mittens. I don't know if that makes sense exactly, but I'm going with the shape. So I'm building like that, even though it's all like one glove and we're going to end up filling that in with red too. But the lines will help me later and the flow will help me later when I start putting in like the shadows and the highlights and all of that. And I am going to fill in this area too with red. I just haven't got there yet. But yeah, Nicole reminded me back in 2020 when I was doing those weekly paint events, we do an annual camping trip. A bunch of families get together and it's super fun. It fell on a night that my weekly paint party was going to happen, so I brought everything with me and I used my phone and we did the painting party when I was camping and I brought all my supplies with me. And it was really fun. It was really good. I also recorded like a backup that I had like two paint parties that week essentially. But one was like a pre-recorded paint party because I didn't want to like disappoint anyone and make sure I wanted to make sure like everyone was still able to have their weekly paint party. Um, yeah, that was really fun and it turned out really good. I really enjoyed painting outside. I gotta say, like it was really nice to paint outdoors. Definitely nicer than like right now where I look outside and it's pitch black. It's so dark right now. definitely. I used to, the paint parties when I first started were on Saturdays at 2. But then we moved them to the evening during the week after that time. Okay, so I'm just bringing this down, and then I'm just kind of doing like a curvy-ish line at the bottom. Okay, and then we're gonna go back in here and fill in this. Okay, I'm gonna try to still keep my heart as pure as possible, just so that helps me later, because I don't really want to have to paint over red to try to get the snow heart going. But if it gets on there, it's not a big deal. Okay. Definitely messed up that line a little bit, but we'll fix it up later. That's okay. That works out. Oh, that side gloves looks very funky and weird. It's funny, I don't see it until I look at my screen, and that looks very weird. Anywho, we will fix that up. It's all good. It will look fine when it's done. Let me just look at it again and see how I want to do it. Okay. I think I'm going to bring that out a bit to balance it. Yeah, and this kind of cuts in weirdly, so let's make that more down and then slightly out. It's a little better. Okay. It's tricky to do it on a side angle versus being straight on and facing your painting, I gotta say. Definitely like throws things off. All right. Okay. So next up, we're going to start to put in some of the shadows in the gloves and continue to darken the gloves as well so that they look more opaque in that process. But I'm going to need black now. And black is very, very powerful. So when I start to do this process, it's going to look really intense and stark like, and that's okay. And then we'll soften it with red as we go. So where do we want the shadow? Let's look again on our example painting. So on our sample painting here, so there's definitely darkness under where the snow heart lives. There is darkness around the outside of the gloves. There's some at the bottom here around like the just above the lines, and like that would be like there'll be also like some lines that come down where it hits like the wrists, right? And there'll be some as well in some of the creases, right, on the sides. So the way we're going to do that is I have a little bit of black on my brush. I'm going to start by just putting some lines where I want this shadow to be. And again, I want there to be like a rim there. Okay. And I think I'm going to start to blend this in. So by doing that, and now that I put the black in, I'm going to get red on my brush, and I'm going to go over the black, and as I do this, the red will help me blend it. And this will take a few goes at it. It's not just going to look, it won't look great right off the hop. It won't right now. It's going to look kind of funky and kind of messy, and that is okay. And we're going to go kind of back and forth on it a bit. So then I'll go on this side for a bit and add a little bit here. I also want to add this little curve, and then I want to, where my gloves are, outline where they are here. Okay, and then also it's gonna be darker in this area, underneath where the heart sits. So again, as you saw, I put black paint on my brush, and I haven't gone back to it since I started this particular section here, right? So I've just been using it. So there's still black that is influencing and darkening up my red, but it's doing so very like mildly. It is still darkening it, but if you just went back every time to get black, it would just be like super dark, and that's not what I want. I'm gonna put that in too. Get a shadow going here. Okay. Okay, so we have dark areas happening, which is good. Get some red now. I'm getting a glare too. I'm gonna add some red to blend. And I also, again, I want to darken my red in general because it's still pretty bright. So I'm just taking a moment to do that. Okay. Okay. Let's go back here. So I use red, and then I'm going back over the black that I put on. Okay. Got some more red. Just darkening up the section with red, just red. I'm using the same brush. I haven't cleaned my brush either. Like, I haven't put this in water since doing the section. I end up using the same brush quite a bit, and I'll use like paper towel to clean off paint on it, but I don't really go and use water to between colors or at all, really. Okay. So because on the brush there's still black kind of living in the like the base of it. So sometimes it comes out in good times, sometimes not so great times, but overall it works. Okay, so we're going to add a bit more to the bottom here, and I'm going to start to bring it upwards and blend it up into the red that I added. Now, if you're finding that as you're adding paint, the areas that you're painting is lifting off the previous paint, so you end up just getting like your canvas, then you need to let it dry a little bit more before you continue, because basically the layer that you're painting on wasn't fully dry, and so now it's just lifting off. So that can be a problem. So if that's happening, you might just need to like sit for a moment or move to a different part of the painting while you let that dry a bit more. don't know if that's a symptom with all acrylic paint or if it's just cheaper paint. I'm not sure, but I know it's annoying. That I could say is for sure. A little bit more up here. Let's see how it is. Okay. I'm gonna get a little darker in here. So I'm doing the same technique as I've done like before. I put a little bit of black, I put it on, and then I'm just blending it into the area. I'm looking at the computer to see how it's looking. So I'm getting a very weird glare as I'm painting, which is probably from my very high class light sources that I have. I say that very much. That's not true at all. And lamps and a little bit more black on this side. I'm just gonna add a few other little lines into the mitts. Okay, and I'm gonna get red, and I want to get more red in here. So this process is really, you're just gonna go back and forth until your red doesn't look thin, and it's kind of the consistency and the thickness that you want it. And I like going back and forth and then again putting like more red on top of the black so that it isn't so stark, but then it looks more natural, like the natural like curves in the fabric. Okay. Okay. Just putting a little bit more. Okay. Now at the bottom here, so I want to get a bit more red. And I still want to do some highlights on the gloves too, so I'm just going to let it sit for a bit with all the shadows that we put on. So I'll move down to this part that covers the wrists, or maybe part way up the arm for like littles. There we go. Okay, so I put some red. I'm going to go in and just put a few like lines, and some might go all the way and some might not. Okay. And do the same thing on this side. And I'm using that same brush, and whenever I'm getting the black paint, again, I'm just going on the side like that, and it's creating like a really, really, really fine line on the brush, and that's what I'm using to going in. So I don't need to use like a specific fine tip or fine point brush to do this. I'm able to do this with my like medium size brush essentially. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Now I'm just using a paper towel just to clean off that brush a bit because I want to get some of the black off. And then I think I'm going to, I do want this to be a little bit darker. So I think I need to go with red and just mix a bit of that black first. And it's pulling off my paint a bit actually, so it's doing what I was saying before. I might need to let that go a bit. Just gonna do a little bit more and then I'll stop for that side. I'll do a little bit on this side. Just want to add, I didn't really add any like shadows down here before I put those lines in, so I'm just trying to add a little bit of that first. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and then we'll get some more red. I have to go back in there and fix that up because I think that looks a little bit funky, but that's okay. Okay. So now, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Now I want to put in a little bit of highlight, so I'm going to go with my white. And again, I just like went on the side with my brush to get the paint. And then so now I create like a nice thinner line so it's easier to balance. And I'm going to add some lighter areas. And I think I want to add some here. I'm going to put some there. Okay, and then I want to have some maybe like here. I don't know if you can really see that too much, but I want a little bit more. Okay. And then we'll end up actually like adding more defined lines after, but right now it's just to give it a bit of highlight on that. Okay, and then we'll have a little bit here and here. And also on the thumbs, maybe here. Okay, now I'm going to get some red and then we'll just blend that out a bit. Some of those areas were not wet anymore, so I still want that to be predominantly red. I just want to get a little bit of lighter in there. Okay, and then the same thing, I'm going to get white and I'm going to add a little bit to the bottom. Okay. All right. Pretty cute, pretty cute. All right, how's everyone doing? Hope everyone who's painting along with me is enjoying it. If you have any questions, let me know. It seems like everyone's good. It's actually went pretty quickly so far, to be honest. We don't have like too many more elements to do realistically, so it's kind of funny. I thought it would take longer. I mean, you can still build it more and like play around with like some of the shadows, but I'm pretty happy with the way it's looking. I think it has good shadows, has good highlights. I feel pretty comfortable with that. Okay, so I do want to add like right now it's just like mittens that are weirdly kind of floating. So I want to add some arms, and then we're gonna go and we're gonna actually create our snowball of love. So in our inspiration image, the bottom I kept it in like a blue, like a darker blue. I also had some shadows on the side and I had a little bit of highlight as well. So I'm going to follow a similar approach to this one. So I think, yeah, so I'm going to go with the blue. So I'm just going to add feeling of like sleeves, my jacket. Okay, and I'm just going to go and bring it as if it's tucked under the mitts. I'm just going to fill it all in. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay. I think this needs to be a little bit thicker. I'm just going to make that a little thicker. That's a bit better. Okay, great. Hi, Helen. Yeah, absolutely. This will be available on the videos tab and also on my YouTube channel. So you can watch it whenever you so desire and paint along. Okay, so we have our sleeve cuffs, whatever you want to say. I'm going to put a bit of black. That's a very bit. I want a little bit more than that. Okay, and then we're going to do a little bit on this side. Okay. And then I'm just going to blend it in a bit. Okay. Okay, and under here too, just because it's tucked into the mitts, and then I want to add a bit of white on side here. Okay, and I'm just going to use blue to soften both sides out. Okay. Okay, that's good. I'm fine with that. Oh, great, Debbie. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, all my videos are up and I do not plan to take them down. So if you like this one or if you like my style of going about how I'm teaching with my wordy words, there are over 100 painting parties that we've done. So you can take a look. There's lots of lovely ones to look and do. Okay, so I think I like this so far. Let's look at our inspiration image. That's the inspiration image so far. So this is where we're at. So we have our mitts, we have the sleeves of our coat, we have where we're going to be putting our heart. It has shadows, it has a bit of highlight. There's a bit more happening on this one, I think, than here, but I think I like it. It's a bit more subtle. Kind of digging that. And so now we're going to work on the actual snowball of love here. So the way we're going to do this is, the first step is we're going to get white paint back onto this heart here. And then we're going to add a little bit of gray to get just a little bit darker, right? And just to have the values happening. And then once we have the paint on in the color values that we like, so having it white and then having it gray at the bottom, then we're going to go back with white paint and some gray paint, and then we're going to like dab our brush to kind of give it a bit of this this texture on there. Okay? So those are the steps that we're going to do next. So I'm also using, I think, probably the same brush realistically for now. I'm just going to clean off the brush now for sure, because I do not want blue, because I was just using it for blue in my snowball. So let's get the white in here. So right now, this is a good time to then readjust the shape of your heart if you need to. Okay, so I have another layer of white that I've put on. And so now I'm going to get a little dab of black, add it to my white. to get a gray. And I'm going to start putting in some gray here. And as you see, I'm just like slightly touching it. And that's all I'm going to do right now. Everything's wet. I'm going to just clear off my brush. And everything's super wet still on here. And I'm going to get more white. Start in the area where there's white paint and then bring it into the gray zone. Clearing off my brush, go back into the area where there's white and then bring it into the gray zone. And I'm kind of going to keep going back and forth and doing this. And I'm wiping my brush every time that gets too much gray on my brush. Because I don't want to make a gray heart. Oh. Careful when you laugh and you have saliva in your mouth. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Okay, that's good. That's a better shade. Nice, pretty, pretty. Okay. What I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to get a bit more of a three-dimensional object kind of shape happening instead of it being just a flat heart. That's really what my intention is when I'm doing this. So I might put a little bit of dark up here just to kind of start to round it out a bit. Make it a little bit lighter in the center, because that's where it would be closer to the viewer and therefore it would have the most light on it. Maybe also a little bit darker around the sides slightly, not too much. We still need more white paint on top. Okay. I think I'm happy enough with that for now, because we're still going to be doing more. So right now it just has a bit of the shadow on it. It's a bit lighter here. So there's a little bit of light gray here that we blended and a bit darker at the bottom. But as you saw, we put the dark gray in and then you do a process of adding white paint into it and cleaning off your brush every time with paper towel whenever there's too much gray on it. Because once you have too much gray on your brush, and if you just keep going, your whole heart will be gray. And then you'll be like, oh no, what happened? And if that happened, don't stress, it's okay. Just stop, let it dry, or try to remove some of the gray, again, by like taking some off, cleaning the brush, taking some off, cleaning the brush. And then you can then reapply the white when it dries, and we can fix it up that way. So don't stress. So I'm going to wait a moment while the heart dries a bit before we start doing our dabby dabs on it to make it look more like a texture and all like snowy. And so what I'm going to do now while I wait for that is I'm going to, I really like this brush. This brush is like, I'm digging it quite a bit. It's like a flat with like a slight like cut, and it's like being pretty awesome. Okay, I'm going to add my more specific clear like highlights with the white, and then we'll start adding some of the snow splotches on the gloves. I think we'll do that while the heart sits for a moment. So again, I'm just going to get paint on my brush on both sides, and then it's very thin, very flat, and then I'm just going to do an outline, the curve there, just do that curve there, do it like here, there, and then up here, and then here maybe. Yeah, that's all right. Whatever your heart desires, really. Put a little bit more in here. Okay, I think that's enough. Cool. And so I think what we'll do now is let's add the little blotchies for the snow on the gloves before we jump into that heart as well. I have another brush that is also a medium brush, but it is a bit more, so it's kind of like splayed out a little bit. So I'm going to use that brush. It has, it's, I don't know if you can see, kind of got fuzzy when I went closer. But it's basically like also a very thin brush. It's flat. There's no like cut in it. Like it's not like an angular cut, but it's definitely splayed out a little bit. So it will work nice for some of that, I think. So I'm just going to dab it in my white. And then I'm just going to add little messy kind of splotches on the gloves as if there's like little bits of snow that gets, you know, when snow gets like caked onto your gloves, your mitts. So your mitts, the ones that are made like more out of wool, or not your like fancy driving leather gloves, not those. Those, that doesn't happen. But those like knitted mittens, the snow kind of like gets all in them. The ice kind of forms. They have to be hung when they get home. Just gonna add little splotchies. I'm trying to change up the shapes on them. Make some a bit smaller and some a bit bigger. I got on this too, actually. Especially as a kid, it got everywhere. Okay, so got nice splotchy snow gloves happening. Oh, that's okay, Deborah. The this will be up, so if you want to paint along another time, you can watch the recording. It'll be available whenever you are able to. Okay, so now for the snow here, we're going to do the same thing. And I'm just going to start to like splotch the paint on with this brush. And I want it to be very white in the center. I'm starting spots here. And then I do want to get it a little bit messy and gray. Bottoms here. Okay, I'm always going to keep adding more and more white to it just to control it and keep getting splotchy. Okay, and I just need to get more white as I go. Okay. It's hard to see because I'm getting kind of a glare on it, so I'm just going to tilt it a little bit. Okay, so I don't know if you can see. Ooh, it looks very, very glary. I feel like you can't really see any of the texture. Ooh, if I go like here, here, there, you can see texture. Ta-da! There's texture. There we go. That's kind of what the texture's looking like. So I feel like it's pretty much where I want it to be. I don't really want to do too much more to it, because if I do too much, it might end up getting a little too dark in certain areas, and I don't want that to happen. You could put in a little bit of darkness in some of these like snow splotches, but I'm not going to worry about that specifically. I think I'm going to leave that as is, and I think I'm pretty much done. I think we're complete. We have the shadows, we have the snow, we have our lovely cold heart. Yeah, I feel pretty good with it. So that, I think, sums up our, let's move this, you can see my face a little bit. A moment or two. camera. Ooh, only professional camera angles, clearly. So yeah, so there we go. So there is our finished painting, our Cold Cold Heart painting for tonight. So I hope you've all enjoyed painting along with me. And if you have, please take a picture of your painting and share it with everyone. I'll put this up as a post very shortly. Here again is it looks pretty similar, pretty good. It's our inspiration original image, and then we did that one tonight. So yeah, there you go. So I hope you all had a fun time. There'll be another free paint night. So the first Wednesday of every month at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've set up all the events, so it's all listed on Facebook. So you can take a look on my Liza's Painting Party page under the events, and you can go in and click interested or going to all the events. So then you'll have a reminder when they're coming up. So you don't have to miss them. And if for some reason you do, don't fret, because the recordings will always be available afterwards under the videos tab on my Facebook channel and also on my YouTube channel under Liza's Painting Parties. If you search that, then you'll find it. I suggest you also subscribe there too, because I think if you subscribe whenever I put a new video, then you'll get a notification there as well. So check that out. And I think that's about it. If you did want me to host a party, I'd love it. Or you can share this with anyone else that you know who enjoys painting. That would be fantastic. And hope you all have fantastic February, the month of love. Enjoy it. Stay warm, and I will see you all very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.